Galactic Empire faces the Terran fleet. Humans respond with amused confidence. Sci-fi. The vast blackness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars and the faint glow of nebulae. At the edge of human-controlled space, a fleet appeared, massive and orderly, moving with purpose. The ships of the Galactic Empire were larger than anything humans had ever built. They gleamed like metal mountains in the darkness, their hulls reflecting the light of distant suns. From a distance, they looked unstoppable. To the commanders of the Empire, humans were a minor problem. They had grown too fast, they thought, and now it was time to remind them of their place in the galaxy. On Earth, the news of the Empire's approach caused a quiet stir. The Terran Fleet Command was busy but calm. Admiral John Miller walked along the observation deck of the Central Command Station, his hands clasped behind his back. He watched the incoming fleet through the wide observation window. Beside him, Lieutenant Anna Hill, one of the youngest officers on the bridge, kept her eyes on the screens. She could see the immense numbers, the precise formations, and the weapon arrays on every ship. Most people would have panicked at this sight, but not the humans here. Alex Carter, the fleet liaison, moved toward the Admiral, his tablet in hand.
"They're on a direct path toward our border systems,"
he said. "All signs point to a formal threat. They're expecting us to respond." Admiral Miller nodded slowly. "And we will. But we won't panic. We never panic. Let them think we do." Nearby, Laura King, a civilian strategist who advised the fleet on tactical and political matters, studied the reports. She shook her head with a slight smile. "They really think they can scare us. They don't know humans at all. We don't act out of fear.
We act with purpose." Ben Marshall, a historian and consultant, leaned over her shoulder.
"It's not just that," he said. "Humans have survived extinction events, disease, wars, famine, and more. Each time we adapted. Each time we learned faster than anyone expected. That calm they see? It's confidence, not ignorance." In the Empire's fleet, Commander Varric studied the human positions. He had led many campaigns before, and he was certain of victory. "They will surrender," he said to his second-in-command. "They always surrender. They cannot match our firepower." His voice was firm, almost proud, as if he had never faced a species that could think differently. Back on Earth, the humans continued their preparations, though not in the way the Empire expected. No alarms blared, no ships moved with frantic urgency. Instead, engineers worked quietly in the docking bays. Maintenance crews checked weapon systems, shields, and engines. Pilots went through simulations, reviewing maneuvers and formations. There was a sense of calm purpose, as if everyone knew exactly what to do but refused to show fear or panic. In a meeting room, the top commanders gathered around a holographic table that displayed the Empire's fleet. "They think numbers decide everything," Admiral Miller said, tapping the table. "They don't understand humans. We've survived much worse. We've faced enemies stronger than this, and we've learned faster than they can predict." Laura King nodded. "Our advantage isn't just technology. It's our thinking. They expect straightforward attacks. They expect fear. We will give them neither." Alex Carter spoke up. "So what's the first step? Do we send a message? Try to negotiate?" Miller shook his head. "We observe. We position. We make them see that humans are calm, not weak. We don't show all our cards at once. Let them think they have the upper hand for now." Meanwhile, across the stars, the Empire sent a formal message. It was precise, cold, and demanding. It declared that the humans must submit to imperial authority or face destruction. The message was meant to intimidate, to make the humans feel small and powerless. In the Empire's calculations, it would work. Humans were unpredictable, but this would show them the consequences of defiance. On Earth, the message arrived. It opened on every screen in the Fleet Command Center. Silence filled the room as everyone read the words. Then, unexpectedly, there was a soft laugh. Admiral Miller raised an eyebrow. "Well?" he asked. Laura King smiled. "They really think that will scare us?" Ben Marshall chuckled. "It's almost cute, isn't it? They don't understand how we think. They don't know how we survive." The humans were not afraid. In fact, they found the Empire's certainty amusing. To them, the Empire's confidence was predictable. They had faced threats before, threats that seemed unbeatable. And each time, humans had found a way to respond with skill, cleverness, and determination. The Empire expected fear. Humans gave calm instead. Captain Ethan Cole, commanding a squadron of smaller Terran ships, reviewed his crew. "All systems ready?" he asked. "Ready," came the chorus of replies. "Good," Ethan said. "Remember, we don't panic. We observe. We act with purpose. The Empire may have bigger ships, but they can't match our strategy or our creativity." In another part of the command center, young officers like Nora White watched the data feeds. "It's strange," she said quietly. "They have so many ships, so many weapons. Why aren't we afraid? Because we know something they don't. We understand humans. We know how we survive, how we adapt, and how we turn situations to our advantage. That is worth more than numbers." The Empire, on the other hand, could not see this. Their scanners detected calm, stillness, and order. To them, it was a sign of weakness. They believed humans would act impulsively out of fear once the threat became real. Commander Varric believed that once the first shots were fired, the humans would crumble. But humans had learned to think differently. They did not respond the way the Empire expected. They used patience, observation, and planning. They knew the Empire would underestimate them, and humans had a history of turning underestimation into advantage. Admiral Miller walked along the observation deck again, watching the stars.
"They don't know what's coming," he said. Laura King smiled.
"Neither do we, and that's the point." As the hours passed, the Terran fleet continued its preparations. Ships moved silently through the docking bays. Crews checked systems, and pilots studied formations. There was no rush, no panic, only steady, calm efficiency. Outside, the Empire's massive ships loomed, a constant reminder of the threat. But the humans did not flinch. Alex Carter checked the tactical displays. "They're positioning closer," he said. "They'll make their move soon. Da. Da. Let them. Let them think they have the advantage. We will respond when it matters. Until then, we observe, we prepare, and we wait." The Empire sent scouts closer to human space. The Terran fleet allowed them to come. They did not attack, did not fire, did not even show nervousness. To the Empire, it was a strange behavior, almost foolish. Commander Varek frowned. Why are they not reacting? Do they not understand the danger? But humans understood danger perfectly. They understood that reacting too early would reveal their capabilities and limit their options. Calm was a weapon, patience a shield. They had survived worse than this. They would survive this too. At the end of the day, humans gathered information, studied the enemy, and refine their strategies. Admiral Miller, Laura King, Alex Carter, and the other leaders met again to review the day's findings. "Every move they make tells us something," Miller said. "Every formation, every patrol, every scan. We learn from it. We don't fight yet, but we prepare, and that gives us power."
Laura King nodded. "They think they are intimidating us."
"They think fear will guide our actions, but we act with purpose, not fear. That is our strength." Outside, the stars glimmered, and the Empire's fleet waited, confident in its superiority. But humans, calm and collected, prepared for what the Empire could not yet imagine, that their apparent weakness was only the surface of a deep and unshakable strength. The first part of the story closed with humans watching the approaching Empire, amused by their certainty, confident in their preparation, and ready to turn the galaxy's expectations upside down. The Empire had come to enforce control, but it had not yet realized that humans did not fight like anyone else. They fought with patience, with observation, and with a strange kind of amused confidence that no threat could shake. The Empire's fleet moved steadily closer to human space. Their ships were massive, lined up in perfect formations, and every commander believed that the humans would soon act out of fear. But the humans did not panic. They continued to move and prepare in ways the Empire could not understand. On the Terran command station, Admiral John Miller walked along the observation deck, watching the screens that tracked the Empire's fleet. His eyes were calm, but inside, he was thinking carefully about every possible move. Next to him, Captain Ethan Cole studied his squadron's readiness reports. Each ship had been checked, repaired, and tested. The humans had learned long ago that preparation was as important as courage. "Look at them," Ethan said quietly, pointing to the display. "They think they have the advantage. They think we will run or fight recklessly." Laura King smiled. "Let them think that. We won't act yet. Patience is our strongest weapon right now." Ben Marshall, the historian, leaned over the holographic table. "They have never faced humans in a real war. They do not know how we think. They see numbers and size and assume that means power. But humans have always turned assumptions into mistakes for their enemies." The Empire's scouts moved closer, flying past human sensors. Commander Varric watched their readings on the bridge of his flagship. "Still no aggressive response," he said, frowning. "They do nothing. Do they not understand the danger?" His second-in-command, Lieutenant Reth, looked uneasy. "It is strange, sir. We expected them to act. Perhaps they are weaker than we assumed." Varric shook his head. "No, I do not believe in weakness. They are hiding something. But we have the advantage of speed and numbers. Soon, it will be clear who is stronger." Back on Earth, the humans quietly moved their fleet into positions the Empire could not anticipate. Captain Ethan Cole led a small squadron toward a remote asteroid field, seemingly insignificant but carefully chosen. Each human ship moved like a chess piece, hiding in plain sight. Alex Carter monitored the movement. "They'll never see it coming," he said. "The Empire believes only in big formations. They don't look carefully at small details." Miller nodded. "That is our advantage. They underestimate us because they think humans fight like everyone else. They are wrong. Humans do not just follow rules. We improvise, we adapt, and we wait for the right moment." Even the younger officers noticed the strange calm of their leaders. Nora White, a junior analyst, asked Laura King, "Don't they know we are smaller in number? Don't they see how big their fleet is?" Laura shook her head. "That is exactly why we are calm. They expect fear. We give confidence. Our numbers matter less than our thinking. Remember? Humans survived worse odds before. We know how to turn fear into advantage, and advantage into control. The Empire moved its fleet closer to human positions. They scanned every system, every planet, and every ship. Their sensors picked up movement in the Terran fleet, but the Upans moved unpredictably, quietly, and without revealing full strength. The Empire assumed the humans were disorganized or afraid. Commander Varak watched the readings, his frown growing. Their ships are moving in strange patterns. It looks chaotic, but it is slow. Perhaps they are retreating? Lieutenant Reth hesitated. It could be a trap, sir. But why would they wait? They could strike first. Barak's voice was sharp. Because they are weak. That is the only explanation. Humans do not attack until they have no choice. Meanwhile, humans continued to position their forces carefully. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron reached the asteroid field and spread out among the rocks. They activated stealth systems, reducing energy emissions and blending into the shadows of space. It looked as if the squadron had disappeared. Alex Carter observed the deployment. They won't know where we are, he said. They'll keep assuming we are in the main fleet. That is exactly what we want. On Earth, Admiral Miller addressed the fleet commanders. The Empire assumes we will act like they do. Ben, they assume we are fearful and predictable. Let them think that. Our goal is not to surprise them with force yet, but with patience, positioning, and understanding. Every move they make, we watch and learn. Every mistake they make, we remember. The real fight is not yet beginning. Laura King nodded. We use observation first, power second. They will not see it coming until it is too late. The Empire's commanders believed that humans could be intimidated. They sent a warning message again, sharper this time. It demanded immediate compliance or destruction. Commander Varek watched as the message was received. They will respond in fear this time, he said confidently. They cannot ignore us forever. But humans did not fear. On Earth, the message was read and discussed quietly. Ben Marshall smiled. They think we will panic. They don't know us. That calm you see is not ignorance. It is knowledge. Captain Ethan Cole turned to his crew in the asteroid field. Prepare for observation mode. Scan everything. Every movement. Every ship. Every formation. Do not act aggressively. Wait until we have the advantage. The Terran fleet's ships were smaller than the Empire's, but each one was equipped with advanced systems. They were designed for flexibility, speed, and adaptation. The Empire's massive ships could not maneuver as quickly. The humans knew that. They had studied enemy designs, tactics, and history. They were ready for anything. In another part of the Terran fleet, engineers worked quietly to enhance their ships' shields and weapons. Every system was double-checked, every detail reviewed. Even minor flaws were fixed. Patience was a part of strategy, and humans had long learned the value of preparation. On the Empire's side, Commander Varek began planning an attack. We will strike tomorrow, he said. We will show them the power of the Empire.
They cannot survive against us.
Lieutenant Reth hesitated. But, sir, they have moved strangely. Our scouts report odd formations. Perhaps they are hiding something. Barak waved him off. Do not doubt our power. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but they are no match for our fleet. Numbers and firepower decide battles. That is how wars are won. Soon they will understand. Humans did not plan to show their full power yet. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron moved in ways the Empire did not expect, taking positions that were invisible to long-range scanners. Engineers adjusted power outputs to avoid detection, and ships formed lines that looked random but were actually highly strategic. Admiral Miller reviewed all movements. "Let them think we are weak," he said. "Let them see disorganization. That will make their mistakes bigger. We wait, we watch, and we act when the time is right." The Empire prepared for an assault. They assumed humans would panic or fight in a straightforward way. They did not know humans could coordinate silently, adapt instantly, and exploit every weakness. Captain Ethan Cole checked his squadron again.
"All ships ready?"
he asked.
"Ready," the crew answered. "Good," he said. "Remember, patience first. Observation, always."
The enemy will make mistakes. We only need to act when the moment is perfect. Back on the command station, Admiral Miller met with Laura King and Alex Carter. "They will attack soon," he said.
"But their attack will show us their weaknesses, and then we will respond."
Laura nodded. "They assume aggression equals power."
"We know intelligence, planning, and patience equal power, too." Hours passed, and the Empire moved closer. Their scouts reported human positions, but humans had hidden their most advanced systems. The Empire's commanders believed they understood the Terran fleet, but every movement the humans made was designed to mislead, confuse, and observe. Commander Varek finally shook his head in frustration. "They are not responding as expected," he said. "I do not understand it. They should be afraid." "They should fight or surrender," Lieutenant Reth said softly. "Maybe they are stronger than we thought." Varek's eyes narrowed.
"No, they cannot be."
"Humans are too small, too disorganized. We have the advantage of size, numbers, and firepower. Soon, they will know it too." But humans did not act recklessly. They observed, prepared, and positioned themselves. They did not need to show strength yet, because they already held the advantage of knowledge, patience, and understanding. As the day ended, the Terran fleet was ready. Ships were hidden, systems optimized, crews prepared, and strategies in place. The Empire believed it was moving to attack, but in truth, the humans were setting the stage for a lesson the Empire had not yet imagined. Admiral Miller watched the stars one last time before the command center lights dimmed. "They think they understand us," he said quietly. "They are about to learn that humans do not act like anyone else in the galaxy. We observe, we wait, we act when it counts. And when we do, they will be surprised." Outside, the Empire's massive fleet continued to move closer. They believed they were about to dominate a weaker species, but humans were calm, confident, and ready. They had turned the first part of the confrontation into an advantage simply by being patient, by observing, and by refusing to act as the enemy expected. And in that silence, among the stars, humans smiled quietly. The Empire did not yet know it, but the first moves of the battle had already been won. The stars were quiet, attention hung in the void of space. The Empire's fleet hovered near human space, expecting fear, expecting disorder, expecting weakness. They did not get any of it. Instead, they saw calm, precision, and quiet confidence. The humans had waited for this moment. On Earth, Admiral John Miller watched the tactical displays. "It's time," he said. "They think they have us cornered. Let's show them they are wrong." Captain Ethan Cole's squadron moved silently from the asteroid field. Their ships had been hidden for hours, now positioned perfectly to strike at the most vulnerable points of the Empire's vanguard. Engines hummed quietly, shields glimmered faintly, and weapon systems activated in low-energy mode to avoid detection.
Alex Carter observed from the command station.
"They still don't see us," he said. "They believe we are smaller, weaker, and scattered. That is the advantage we need. It's always like this. They underestimate humans. That is how humans survive. That is how humans win." Ben Marshall, the historian, leaned over the table. "Humans have faced overwhelming odds before. Empires, plagues, natural disasters. Each time, people adapted. Each time, they turned assumptions into opportunities. The Empire has made the same mistake countless civilizations have made. They think size and firepower matter more than strategy and understanding." Commander Varric watched the vanguard of his flagship. "They are still not attacking," he said. "I don't understand it. Why do they wait?" Lieutenant Reth frowned. "Perhaps they are stronger than we expected. Perhaps their calm is not fear, but confidence. No, they are small, slow, and inexperienced. Numbers decide battles. We will overwhelm them soon."
But humans were ready. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron launched a subtle strike first.
Small energy pulses disabled communication arrays on 2 Imperial cruisers. It was almost imperceptible, but it caused confusion in the enemy fleet. Alex Carter's eyes widened. "They did it," he said.
No full engagement yet, just disabling systems.
Perfect precision. "They don't destroy anything yet. They are showing control. That is how humans fight. They give the enemy just enough trouble to force mistakes." The Empire's vanguard detected the pulses and scrambled to respond. Commander Varric's voice was sharp. "Identify the source. Strike back." The humans were already moving again. Using the asteroid field for cover, they fired coordinated bursts that created illusions of multiple fleets. Enemy sensors recorded too many targets, false coordinates, and shifting positions. Confusion spread. Captain Ethan Cole smiled at his crew. "Keep it up. Let them make mistakes. We control this fight without losing a ship." On the Empire's flagship, Varric's frown deepened. "They are not attacking as expected. They are too organized. Adjust formations. Focus fire. Target the asteroids. Clear any hiding spots." But humans had planned for this. Drones scattered from the asteroid field, creating false sensor readings, fake ship signatures, and temporary energy signatures. The Empire's fleet fired at nothing, wasting energy and ammunition. Alex Carter tapped the screen. "They are wasting resources chasing shadows, just like we predicted. And they still don't see the real ships. That is our advantage. Patience and planning always win against arrogance." Captain Ethan Cole's squadron then moved in another subtle step. Small kinetic projectiles struck weak points on the Empire's cruisers, not to destroy, but to disable engines and shields. The pulses were minor, but enough to slow the Imperial ships, forcing them into awkward positions. Admiral Miller watched with quiet satisfaction. They do not need to fight head-on yet. They control the battle with knowledge and timing. That is how humans win. The Empire's fleet began to realize that their initial confidence was a mistake. Commander Varric's voice grew tense. "Focus fire on the targets. Destroy them. Why can we not hit them? How are they moving?" "Sir, they are not where we expect them to be. They move unpredictably. Our targeting systems cannot lock on consistently." Varric slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. We have power. We have numbers. How can small ships do this to us? Captain Ethan Cole's squadron continued their precise movements. They coordinated silently through quantum communications, shifting positions instantly. The Empire's larger ships could not maneuver as quickly. Every Imperial attack missed by meters, while humans maintained control of their own movements. They're realizing the truth. They underestimated humans. That is when humans always strike. Observe, wait, and control. That is what they did all along. The Empire thinks they command fear. Humans command the fight. Ben Marshall added, "This is classic human behavior. They have done it in history, on Earth, in small wars and large. When faced with overwhelming odds, humans adapt, survive, and turn fear into advantage. They do not panic, they improvise. That is why they are feared even by the largest fleets. Back in the Empire's vanguard, the Imperial cruisers began to falter. Engines sputtered, shields went offline temporarily, and crews scrambled to respond. Commander Varick's face grew red with frustration. How is this possible?
Our technology is superior. We control space, weapons, and fleet size.
Yet they manipulate us as if we are children, Lieutenant Reth said quietly. Perhaps they are not like any species we have encountered. Perhaps humans are different. Varick shook his head. No. We will not lose. Adjust targeting again. Bring all firepower to bear. Destroy the asteroids. Destroy their small ships, and they will surrender. But humans anticipated the attack. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron shifted again, using a combination of the asteroid field and their superior maneuverability. Imperial fire missed by wide margins, while humans struck key points with surgical precision. They disabled shields, engines, and weapons systems one by one, all without risking their own ships.
Alex Carter observed quietly. They are not just defending.
They are teaching the Empire a lesson in strategy. Every move they make forces the enemy to respond. Every mistake is magnified. That is what humans do. They control situations without showing full strength. That calm we talked about, it is power disguised as patience. The Empire's fleet became chaotic. Ships moved into awkward positions to avoid attacks that came from places they could not predict. Energy resources were drained trying to track multiple small targets. Commander Varick realized the humans were not reacting to fear. They were controlling the flow of battle with intelligence, strategy, and precision. On the human side, Captain Ethan Cole called his squadron to regroup.
Good work. We've slowed them down and taken control without losing a single ship.
Now we prepare the next phase. Admiral Miller addressed the command room. They are beginning to understand the mistake they made. They assumed fear. They assumed panic. They assumed humans fight like everyone else. They are wrong. Humans fight with purpose, observation, and cleverness. That is why we survive. That is why we win. Alex Carter added, and they are learning this lesson now. Slowly, painfully. It is always the same with humans. Calm at first, precise, controlled, and confident. The Empire thinks numbers and power matter more than intelligence. Humans prove them wrong every time. The Empire sent more reinforcements, hoping to overwhelm the Terran fleet. But the humans anticipated every move. Scout ships were in place to observe the new arrivals. Drones created false targets, and the main fleet remained hidden. Each move by the Empire was countered without direct confrontation. Every advance carefully planned to maximize confusion. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron executed a small but decisive strike. They disabled a key weapons platform on a large Imperial cruiser. The ship could no longer fire accurately, and the crew struggled to repair the systems. It was a subtle victory, but enough to tilt the momentum slightly toward humans, Alex Carter observed quietly. One small strike, but it shows them we are in control. They still think they dominate, but they do not. Every move we make forces them to respond. That is our strength.
Yes, they are learning the hardest lesson.
You cannot control humans with fear or size alone. You can only try to predict them, and humans are never predictable when it matters. The Empire's fleet grew frustrated. Commander Varric realized that their initial plan had failed. Humans were not panicking. Humans were not disorganized. Humans were not afraid. Instead, they were calm, clever, and in control. Every Imperial attack was met with precise movement, small counterstrikes, and careful observation. Varric's voice grew strained. They are manipulating us. Every time we think we have the advantage, they shift the battle. They are too clever, too fast. Lieutenant Reth added quietly, "Perhaps this is why humans survive. Perhaps this is why they always adapt." Admiral Miller addressed his team. "They are realizing they underestimated us, but they do not yet know our full strength. We will continue to control the fight, to force mistakes, and when the moment comes, we will strike decisively."
Captain Ethan Cole's squadron moved to new positions, invisible to the Empire's scanners. Drones spread illusions across the battlefield, making the humans appear in multiple places at once.
Imperial fire continued to miss. The humans smiled quietly in the command centers, amused at the Empire's growing frustration. Alex Carter said quietly, "They think they are powerful, but humans have already won this part of the fight. They only do not know it yet." Laura King nodded. "This is how humans always respond. Calm, confident, and clever. The Empire will soon learn the hard way that we are not to be underestimated." And in the cold darkness of space, humans moved like shadows, unseen but powerful, controlling every part of the battlefield without the Empire ever fully understanding. The Empire had faced opposition before, but they had never faced humans, and the first signs of that realization were beginning to dawn across the Imperial fleet. The cold darkness of space was filled with quiet tension. The Empire's fleet had grown frustrated. Their massive ships, powerful weapons, and precise formations had failed to dominate the humans. Every attack they made was met with careful movement, subtle strikes, and clever countermeasures. They had expected fear, panic, and disorder. Instead, they faced calm, confidence, and control. On Earth, Admiral John Miller watched the displays of the battlefield. "They are beginning to realize," he said quietly. "They thought numbers and firepower decide wars. They do not. Strategy, patience, and observation decide wars, and we have all three." Captain Ethan Cole's squadron had moved into new positions, using stealth and clever maneuvers. The small human ships darted through asteroid fields and shadows, striking the Empire's fleet in ways that were impossible to anticipate. Every pulse, every shot, every movement was precise. No ship was lost, no crew harmed. Alex Carter leaned over the console. "They think they are in control. They are not. Every move they make is being used against them."
Laura King nodded. "That is how humans always fight."
"We do not panic. We do not act recklessly. We wait, observe, and strike with purpose. That is why we survive. That is why we win. The Empire's commanders could feel it. Commander Varric's frustration was turning into fear.
How is this possible? He shouted.
Our fleet is enormous. We have firepower, numbers, technology. How can small ships do this to us? Lieutenant Reth spoke quietly.
Sir, they are not just defending. They are controlling us.
Every time we attack, we react. Every time we react, we make mistakes. They are forcing us into traps without even firing directly. Impossible. Humans are supposed to be weak.
They cannot control us like this. We have the advantage.
We always have the advantage. But the humans had learned long ago that the galaxy was unpredictable. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron had already disabled key engines, weapons platforms, and shields on the Empire's vanguard. Imperial fire was misdirected, wasting energy on false targets, illusions, and empty space. The humans did not destroy for the sake of destruction. They disabled, slowed, and controlled. Every strike was measured, precise, and designed to make the enemy expose their weaknesses. On Earth, Admiral Miller addressed the command center. This is our moment. We do not strike blindly. We continue to observe, to force mistakes, and to act when the Empire believes they are winning. The Empire thinks they dominate. Let them think that. Confidence is dangerous when misplaced.
Alex Carter smiled. They are panicking in secret.
They do not admit it. At every missed shot, every confused maneuver, every wasted resource, they feel it. And they will make mistakes soon. Captain Ethan Cole moved his squadron carefully into a new formation. They split into multiple groups, each using different asteroid fields and shadows. The Empire could detect movement, but could not identify the real targets. Some Imperial ships fired at illusions. Some fired at empty space. Some attempted to retreat. Every decision was being influenced by the humans without them realizing it. Laura King leaned back. Humans control situations like this naturally. We are unpredictable, clever, and patient.
That is why the Empire is struggling. They think power lies in size.
Humans know power lies in understanding and timing. Ben Marshall, the historian, nodded. This is classic human strategy. We have faced overwhelming odds throughout history and turned them into advantages. Today, the Empire is learning that lesson the hard way, and they will not forget it. The Empire attempted to regroup. Commander Varric ordered his fleet into tighter formations, concentrating fire on the regions where they believed humans were hiding. "Focus fire!" he shouted. "Do not allow them to escape! Destroy everything in the asteroid fields." But humans were ready. Captain Ethan Cole's ships moved silently, avoiding concentrated fire, while small kinetic strikes and energy pulses disabled key systems on the Imperial cruisers. Engines sputtered, shields dropped, and weapons failed to fire. The Empire's vanguard was slowing, losing coordination, and struggling to respond. Alex Carter watched the reports. They are losing control without even realizing it. They still think they are winning. Laura King smiled. They never learn until it is too late. Humans always turn the tide with intelligence and patience. On the Empire's flagship, Varric's frustration boiled into fear. "How can this be?" he shouted. "They are too small, too few, too weak. Yet they control the battle." "How is it possible?" Lieutenant Reth spoke cautiously. "Sir, perhaps we underestimated them. Perhaps humans are different." Varric's eyes narrowed.
No, they are just clever.
but cleverness alone cannot win. Bring everything forward. Destroy them! Meanwhile, Captain Ethan Cole's squadron executed the final phase of their plan. Using the asteroids for cover, they coordinated a series of precise attacks. Bye. Small energy pulses targeted engines, shields, and weapon systems. Imperial ships began to slow, collide with each other, and drift out of formation. The Empire's massive firepower was now useless because their fleet was uncoordinated. Alex Carter watched with a quiet smile. They do not even know they are losing yet. They still believe they are in control. That is the beauty of it. Confidence can blind even the strongest. Laura King nodded. And humans know it. Double. We survive, adapt, and turn arrogance into opportunity. That is why the Empire is failing. They cannot predict us. They cannot control us. They cannot understand us. Captain Ethan Cole's crew worked seamlessly, moving from one task to another. Shields were reinforced where needed, engines were repositioned for maneuvering, and drones spread false signals to confuse the enemy further. Every action was measured, calm, and precise. On the Empire's vanguard, Commander Varek realized their fleet was in chaos. We are losing control, he shouted. How can a small fleet do this to us? Lieutenant Reth said quietly, Sir, perhaps humans do not fight like any species we have faced. They do not panic. They do not react blindly. They think, observe, and act with purpose. That may be why we cannot dominate them. Varek shook his head violently. No. Numbers and power must matter. They cannot survive against us. We are the Empire. We cannot lose to humans. But the humans were already proving otherwise. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron moved in perfect synchronization. Energy pulses struck Imperial shields and weapons, while small kinetic strikes disabled propulsion systems. Imperial cruisers drifted helplessly, unable to respond, while humans retained complete control of their movements. Alex Carter leaned back and said quietly, They thought this would be easy. They assumed fear would guide humans. They assumed panic would make us predictable. They are wrong. Laura King smiled. We do not panic. We do not react without thought. That is why humans survive. That is why humans win. The Empire's fleet began to retreat, not because the humans had destroyed everything, but because their ships were disabled, their formations broken, and their control lost. Commander Varek shouted in frustration, realizing that their power and numbers were meaningless when humans controlled the battlefield with knowledge and patience. On Earth, Admiral Miller observed the retreat. They are leaving. They thought they could dominate us, but humans cannot be dominated. We do not surrender. We do not panic. We act with intelligence and timing. That is how we win. Captain Ethan Cole's squadron regrouped, ensuring all ships were safe. Good work, he said. We did not need to destroy them completely. We controlled the fight, forced mistakes, and proved our strength. That is enough. Alex Carter smiled. And they will remember it. The Empire will think twice before underestimating humans again.
Laura King nodded. Every civilization that faces humans learns this lesson.
Calm, confidence, intelligence, and patience can overcome fear, numbers, and firepower. That is humanity's strength. Ben Marshall added, This is not the first time humans have done this. Throughout history, they have survived impossible odds, adapted, and won. Today is just another example. The Empire's ships retreated into the darkness, battered but not destroyed. Commander Varek realized for the first time that the humans were not like other species. They could survive, adapt, and turn overwhelming odds into advantage. His pride and confidence had been shattered by something he could not fully understand: human cleverness and patience. On Earth, celebrations were quiet. The Terran fleet had not needed to destroy the Empire. They had only needed to show control, precision, and patience. Humans had turned what seemed like weakness into strength and fear into advantage. Captain Ethan Cole addressed his crew. Remember this moment. Today, we showed the Empire what humans are capable of. We fought without panic, without fear, and without unnecessary destruction. That is the way we survive. That is the way we win. Admiral Miller nodded. This is the lesson the Empire must learn. Humans cannot be controlled, predicted, or dominated. We face challenges with intelligence, patience, and confidence. That is our strength. That is why the galaxy will always respect, or fear, humanity. They will talk about this for a long time. They will spread stories of our calm, our cleverness, and our confidence. That is the power humans have, not just technology, but understanding, patience, and intelligence. Lara King added, "We do not need to fight recklessly. We do not need to destroy everything to win. We win because we control the fight, because we adapt, and because we think differently."
That is humanity's way. In the darkness of space, the Empire's fleet slowly disappeared from Terran sensors, humiliated and humbled.
Humans had proven, without unnecessary violence, that they could not be underestimated. Calm, precise, and confident, the Terran fleet had turned the Empire's arrogance against them. And as the stars shone quietly above, humans smiled. They had faced the might of the galaxy, and they had done it not with fear, not with panic, not with reckless courage, but with intelligence, patience, and an amused confidence that no empire could match. The lesson was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. Not now. Not ever.